We're Ty and Khristy, two fun-loving Texans with a huge passion for good barbecue, cold beer, and lots of good times.
We're traveling the state for the best barbecue Texas has to offer.
And we are also bringing to you some of the most authentic craft beer known to Texas.
And we're going to show you top secret recipes and smoking barbecue tips from some of the most seasoned pitmasters around.
Together, we're going to learn how to pair the right brew with the best barbecue.
We want to connect you with the smokehouses and breweries behind the Lone Star State.
We love Texas Brew and Barbecue.
Hey guys, we made it to Sammy's Barbecue right here in downtown Dallas. Read a lot of history about this. I've talked to the owner, and there's so many cool facts and so many little secrets about this place that I haven't got to yet. So I can't wait to get in here with Marshall and find out what else this historic place is all about. Let's go take a look.
Ty, how you doing, buddy?
Hey man, it's nice to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you.
I heard there's a lot of story behind this place.
I tell you, it's been here for about 26 years. So we did all the B movies from like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Piranha, you know, all the way back to Big Bad
so
Mama
awesome.
with Angie Dickinson.
That's pretty sweet.
And home video came out and kind of pushed us into barbecue.
So how did the barbecue thing come about with?
My old man just thought he cooked a mean steak by the pool. You know, thank goodness my mother, my aunt, my sisters, everybody else could cook in the kitchens. You know, grandmom's apple pie, pecan pie.
I read about that.
Yeah, everything's fresh, homemade.
I heard you guys cook a pretty mean brisket too.
We do pretty good. We do pretty good.
I have not perfected the brisket yet. I try.
Well, we'll have to work on that. I can help you out. I can help you out.
Whatever pointers you can give me will be awesome.
Well, why don't you come on in and we'll chat about it.
Let's go do it.
All right.
All right.
We're in a unique neighborhood down here.
Right.
I've almost had to educate the customer that they don't want it super lean. I go, you're ruining it for the next guy. Don't do that. But, you know, a brisket is like a ribeye kind. If you're a steak guy,
Yeah.
you don't want, you know, everybody's like, well, I don't want the fat. I don't want this. I don't want the fat. I go,
That's part of the brisket.
that preserves the integrity of the meat.
Right,
The
right.
bite right next to the fat, if you don't like the fat, the bite next to the fat's the best bite you're gonna have.
Exactly.
If you like the fat, eat that frickin'
Right.
thing and get the char on there. And
Oh,
get-
yeah.
We do Lowry's seasoned salt and lemon pepper.
Really?
And that's how my old man's done. I know people just do salt and pepper.
Yeah.
I know people that do all sorts of stuff. I do a borracho brisket. It's a drunken brisket on Fridays that I marinate in red wine, kind of do a mirepoix.
Oh, nice.
You know, that's the special thing I
Right.
do. Barbecue is a working man's meal.
Right.
And now all of a sudden it's jets and jacuzzis are charging $30 a pound. I'm like, what? You know, so the brisket has actually changed over the years, but we just keep it simple. We trim a little fat and cartilage.
Right.
And then, you know, we buy good meat and take care of it.
How long do you usually smoke it?
We smoke it for about 14 hours, sometimes
Oh, wow.
a little longer.
Bet
You know, I
that
always
falls
say,
apart.
yeah, every brisket had a different life, right?
Right.
You know, every piece of meat.
Right.
So LG will look at it and say, hey, maybe I'll take this off or maybe just leave it, take it off on the block because it'll be easier or better.
Right.
We just try to buy good stuff and take care of it. I'm so proud of this guy, you wouldn't even believe it. He's taken it to a different level. All these guys have worked with us forever. It's a family joint. I always say family's more important than barbecue. How you taking care of your family.
That's it.
Taking care of barbecue.
Taking care of barbecue.
I'm super excited to be heading out for our first craft brew tour for Texas Brew and Barbecue. We're on our way to Petticolas Brewing Company in the Design District of Dallas, and let me tell you, we're starting with the best. I mean, the founder is Michael Petticolas, and he's like the pioneer of craft beer in the Dallas area. He paved the way for all of the other breweries in this area to open, and I'm pretty sure he's revered by every brewery founder around Dallas. Their website says they're honest, friendly, down-to-earth brewers delivering world-class passion in a glass. All right, let's go meet Michael and his brew crew and take a little tour of Dallas's first micro brewery. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well.
Are you Michael?
I am Michael.
Michael, I'm Khristy. It's nice to meet you.
Khristy, it's great to meet you. I'm excited about this.
Me too. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Now, truth be told, Petticolas and being a brewmaster wasn't your first line of business here, right?
That's
Rumor
right.
has it you spent a lot of time in the courtroom.
That's right. I am, you know, sometimes I trip up and say, I used to be a lawyer, but the fact of the matter is I'm still a lawyer.
Correct.
I'm still a licensed, active attorney, and I owe a debt of gratitude towards my legal profession. But yes, that's what I did for, you know, a decade before I ever started this brewery. I was operating a law firm, and really what happened is I came across a list that I had put together of the goals I wanted to accomplish in the legal industry, and this was in 2010. And as I went down the list, I was just checking everything off, and finally I got to the bottom of the list. I'm like, I did it. I did everything I wanted to do in the legal industry. So, you know, now it's time to do something else. And I have two passions in life, beer and soccer. So I said, well, let's make a passionate job.
Hey, beer and football are two of my passions too.
They go together very well,
They go
right?
perfectly
Yeah,
together. I don't think
absolutely.
you can have one without the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's do this. Let's check
Let's
this
do
place
it.
out. We need to
Let's
get
take
you a
this
beer.
through. I would like a beer.
Let's do it. You want to start in the brewery?
Let's start.
All right, Khristy. I can't show you around this brewery without getting a beer in your hand. It just doesn't feel right. So
Okay.
I'm going to pour you a golden opportunity. This is our lightest beer. It's a Kolsch. Has a little bit of bitterness to it, very faint, and just a hint of sweetness. Here, cheers. So what, you want to hear about the brewing process?
I want to hear all about it from beginning to finish.
Okay, let's talk about actually brewing beer.
Let's do
And
it.
It all starts in here. It all starts with this piece of equipment, actually.
What is this baby called?
This is a malt mill, right?
Okay.
So there are only 4 ingredients in beer. Malted barley,
Okay.
water, hops, and yeast.
Okay.
So you'll see some bags around here, right? And some pallets over here. They're full of malted barley. Step 1 is measuring out whatever your malted barley amounts are of each different variety and milling them into this mill. It's basically a 2-roller mill that cracks the grain, doesn't pulverize it, it just cracks it, and then you'll see on the bottom this PVC pipe that delivers the beer via an auger on the other end to this vessel, which is called a grist case.
Grist case.
Grist case, yep.
Okay.
So it will hold all of our malted barley that we're going to use for a batch of beer when we're going to start the brew day. So typically there's probably barley in here right now to brew tomorrow. We'll let it sit in there until it's time to brew, and then hit the button in there, and you'll see there's going to be another PVC pipe coming into this room,
Which
right?
connects
so
right
from
across.
the bottom of that grist case, it's now delivering all of that malted barley into this vessel right here. This is the mash tun, where you add the second ingredient, water. You're doing it at a very specific temperature. You're withdrawing sugars from all that malted barley, doing it for a specific period of time. You're cycling it on top of itself to get it nice and clear. You then will move it from the mash tun into the brew kettle. This is basically just like a pot that you would put on your stove, right? All the work goes into here. We bring it up to a boil. Once it hits a boil, you throw in your third ingredient, which are hops. You're gonna
Okay.
throw them in at 3 different times. You're gonna throw it in for bitterness. Later, you're gonna throw it in for flavor. And then at the very end of the boil, you're gonna throw hops in to give it aroma.
So there's specific increments that you're throwing that hops in per whatever flavor that you're looking for.
Absolutely, specific time frame. So 90 minutes from the boil is gonna make it bitter. Right at boil out or flame out is gonna make it have a bigger aroma.
Okay.
So once it's done there, we'll then move it into one of these cylinder conical vessels, right? This is called a fermenter. You see this nice cone on the bottom. As we're adding the beer at this point, we add the 4th ingredient, which is yeast, right? The yeast and the beer go into this vessel, and before too long, you have fermentation take place, and that's actually what you're seeing here.
There starts the process.
That's right. The yeast is literally eating that sugar that we extracted in the mash tun and converting it to 2 things. Alcohol, thank God, right? That's how we get the alcohol in
Yes.
the beer. And then CO2, so that's what you see bubbling up here, right? The CO2 is exiting the fermentation vessel and going into atmosphere. Once it's done fermenting, we'll then move it over to a dish bottom vessel like this one. This is called a bright beer tank.
Okay.
You'll have a nice clear beer by the time you get to this bright beer tank. You'll then inject a medical grade CO2. That's how we carbonate the beer, right? So we're literally force carbonating CO2 into that finished beer in this vessel. And when it's done there, we line up the kegs 5 at a time,
Fill them up.
fill up those kegs and move them into a cooler.
So how long does this process take?
So the brew itself is about 8 hours from the malting or the milling of the malted barley to the point of putting it into the fermentation vessel. That's 8 hours.
Yeah.
But then it's going to take, 2 weeks total before it winds up in this tank ready to be carbonated, right? So fermentation takes a little bit of time.
That's awesome. Well, this place is wonderful, and you do everything in-house. I mean, you guys get your products in, and then it happens here.
It all happens here. We have a very manual brewery. We're very involved in the process from start to finish. Much more manual than maybe some of our employees would even like. But that's how we did it. I did it all in the early days, and that's still how we do it. It's about repetition, doing it the same every single time. It's worked for us all along, and when things work, we stick with them.
I highly recommend this tour, which is available to the public a few times a month. Check out their website for days and times. While the brewmasters prepare a flight deck for me, let's check on Ty and see if he's learned enough at Sammy's BBQ to cook us our very own at-home barbecue dinner.
Ty, this is my mother, Julie.
Julie,
Hi.
nice to meet you.
Nice
My
to meet
Uncle
you.
Howard, this is Mom's little brother.
Hello, Howard. Uncle Howard. I'm gonna call
I
you
always say
Uncle Howard.
he's kind of a spy in here working for my mother.
Well, tell me some more about this building, because I know there's a lot of history.
When we decided to get in the barbecue business, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we couldn't come up on a name. We were working on different names. We didn't want to name it Pritchard's Barbecue because United Artists was still down at Deep Ellum, and we didn't want them knowing we were doing anything other than film.
Right.
And we had all these old signs up here, Sammy's Grocery Market, and we were like, let's do Sammy's, and so we just kept all these signs. And Lewis, who passed away like 15, 20 years ago, used to come in here, and he's actually will slice the chopped beef, which is the fattier part of the brisket.
Right.
He came in, I was like 20, he's like, you don't know what you're doing, do you? And I'm like, no sir, not really. So to this day, if you want the fatty part ordered here, you order sliced chop.
And the fatty part of a brisket is really the most tender, kind of like the tenderloin side of a T-bone.
Everybody thinks the flat is the point.
Right.
The flat comes to a point, so you're like, that's the point. I'm like, you think?
All the recipes are our family recipes, all from grandmother down,
I was on a flight from LA to New York, and some guy was telling me about his son and him doing a barbecue sabbatical all over the South, blah, blah, blah. For like 30 minutes, I think this guy's gonna come in and dickies me. And he goes, the sweetest lady gave me a piece of apple pie at the end. I'm like, you talking about Sammy's barbecue? And he goes, yeah. And I go, that's my mother. Selling me my own mother for 30 minutes. I was like, what?
So let's check out the smoke.
Let's go check it out. All right, man, so this is where the magic happens.
What is this?
This is the world famous baked potato casserole. My Aunt Glenda's baked potato casserole. Sour cream, cheese, and bacon it.
Oh my God. So not only that you guys have great barbecue, the sides here are insane.
Sides, the pies are my favorite thing in the world. The pecan pie is why I was a hyper kid.
Do you think that barbecue is becoming a little more, I don't want to say popular because it's always been popular, but do you think it's become
hip
a little
now.
more?
It's more popular. There's more fusion.
Right.
My wife's Korean, and so it's like everything in the world is either a taco or Korean fusion.
Right.
But they're doing that in barbecue now too. I mean, barbecue is kind of like, hey, this is a smoked, blah blah blah, ahi taco, or barbecue has kind of gotten into the mainstream, and it's more out of the South. I do a couple of competitions where I'll go judge it, and the guy's like, well, this is crud, isn't it? I go, dude, this is what you want to see with barbecue: is guys hanging out, drinking a beer, and,
But you find guys like me that go in the backyard, and I'll smoke a brisket in 10 hours, pull it off, and I'm like, oh, something's wrong.
See, for you and I, for here, I'd smoke 14 hours.
Yeah.
If I was smoking it for you and I, for our, at the house, I'd be like 16, 17 hours.
It needs to go longer.
Yeah, go longer and slow down. It's just gonna, like brisket candy, all that fat caramelized.
Oh yeah.
Stuff,
So don't rush it. That's the main tip.
Rush it. You want to get, you got to get it hot enough for that fat to start to render. But then just take it easy. Everybody wants to, do a different thing. I just slow it all down. You can always cook it more.
Right.
You can always cook it more. You can't cook it less.
And I watched that on I was watching a show, and they were talking about it was a brisket competition, and he said you can't overcook it, but you can undercook it.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're, because that's what you want to do anyways. You want to get out of the house and have a beer and act like you're watching the meat.
Yeah.
You're like, honey, I'm out here
I'm working.
I'm cooking the brisket. And they're like, that you're doing good.
All right. Well, you know what? I really appreciate you having us come in here. I want to go. I want to go talk to your pitmaster.
Cool.
I want to get some tips from him.
Don't steal them from me.
I'm not.
Don't steal them.
I'm going to steal some food.
You can. You can do that.
Marshall. I've got some brisket that you guys did not run out of yet.
Perfect.
Perfect timing. I've got some more of the baked potato casserole, and I've got some. When you come to Texas and you have Texas barbecue, what do you drink? Besides beer, what do you drink?
Tea, and more importantly, sweet tea usually.
It's got to be sweet tea. I say the best thing to do with unsweet tea is pour it out and go get some sweet tea. I'm gonna dive into this right now, but first, I have to, I gotta put on the Sammy's hat.
I like that. Got a little sponsorship going here.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, it looks good.
I'm gonna go brisket first.
Well played, sir.
Oh, look at that. Look at that fat.
Oh, that's where all the flavor is, right there. That's impressive.
Oh, a bite.
You get a little hit with the smoke first, and then you get that fat flavor that just kind of melts on your
Look at that
tongue.
fat that's just melting. Oh my God. That's amazing. Now we're gonna get
Pork
messy.
rib, you got pork rib there.
Oh, we're gonna get messy here.
A little St. Louis cut.
That's good stuff. You want some of that?
I love it, dude. I eat barbecue for breakfast is the one.
I don't blame you.
That's one of the perks of the job. There
Oh
you go,
my
brother.
God, there it is. Look at that.
It's my grandmother's pecan pie.
Uh-oh. Texas-sized bite. Thank you, sir. And we'll definitely be back.
Good.
Good stuff.
I like that.
All right.
Keep me employed by my mother.
Guys, Sammy's Barbecue is right here in Uptown Dallas. You have to come check it out. It's by far one of the best barbecue places I've ever been to. Come check out Marshall and his family. Come check out the guys. Say hello to them and get you some of this barbecue.
So what do we have here?
All right, so we've got a flight of 6 different beers. Where you've got to start is Velvet Hammer. That's
Okay.
an Imperial Red Ale. That's the first beer I brewed here, December 30th of 2011. That's the one that kind of took off here locally. It's the one that we're best known for.
This was the man of the hour.
It's a big beer. It's 9% in alcohol, but the joke is that it's smooth as velvet and hits you like a hammer. So
Velvet Hammer.
have a drink of that.
Okay, well this is Velvet Hammer and we are gonna try it. Velvet Hammer is smooth.
Another big heavy hitter is this one. This is our, it's an Imperial IPA.
Which
this
I
is
think
called
is my favorite.
Sit Down or I'll Sit You Down.
Oh my God.
My brother was a cop many, many years ago, and cops filmed him. And so after the episodes went live, he brought them to me and my other brother and said, oh, we've got to watch this, got to watch this. And we're all, yeah, it's going to be awesome. Well, after about 2 episodes, we're like, all right, this is just boring. It's you on cops. But the very last episode of the very last segment of the last episode he showed us, he was walking up on this guy and saying, sit down, no response. Sit down, no response. Sit down or I'll sit you down. Immediately the guy goes down. And my brother and I just start laughing at that. And so for 10 years in my family, sit down or I'll sit you down has been a joke, right, in our family. So when it came time to name it, this is a big heavy hitter, it's 10%. Again, you're not gonna get an alcohol burn from it. We've kind of developed a little bit of a reputation for being able to brew these high alcohol beers that don't necessarily come across that way. Ton of hops in that beer as well, even more so than the Velvet Hammer.
So
give it a shot.
sit down or I'll sit you
That is
down.
my very favorite beer.
Okay.
So now the pressure's on. You have to say you like it at this point, right? We're on film. Oh,
I
it's
mean,
delicious.
This is pretty good.
That's
I
it.
definitely taste the aromas, and I almost feel like it's a little florally. Can I say that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
And that's probably one of my favorite kind of craft beers is to have that floral hint on it. I like a good spice and a good, not too florally. I don't want to wear potpourri, but I love.
And that's the whole point when we talked about the brew process, hops at 3
Yeah.
different times. Those last hops that you put in at flame out, that's what you're smelling. That's what's giving that aroma.
I like
Yeah, floral, yeah. Use whatever language you like. People get too intimidated. It's like, you know what? Just drink the beer. Tell me what you taste.
Yeah.
There is no right or wrong. You know, enjoy it. Talk about it.
If somebody was just coming off the street and they're typically a domestic beer drinker and they wanted to come in and try craft brew, you know, how would they start? I feel like I could come in and say, listen, these are the flavors that I like.
Yes.
Can you help me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. Come in and we'll have people that talk to you and educate you and say, oh, well, what do you like? If you like that, and you might want to try this, so on and so forth. But that's what it's all about. Yeah, we can always find something, whether, oh, I don't ever drink beer, and then they leave here going, oh, but that was delicious and this is great. And that's awesome because it's opening up, it's bringing in new people into the craft beer industry.
I feel like I should take this entire sample platter with me sit down.
Thumbs up? 6 thumbs up?
Well, like 18 thumbs up.
Okay, all the thumbs up. Perfect.
I was gonna ask, for somebody new that doesn't drink craft beer and that comes in, where do you start? You come in and you ask and kind of see what they want, but I feel like this is kind of where you start.
This
like,
is,
here,
but I mean, again,
flight, sample it and see what you want to do.
But talk to our crew.
Yeah.
And they can put, hey, I like hoppy beers. They'll give you 6 super hoppy beers, right? It's like, for us, it's about opening up that dialogue, and we want to give you what you want to hear and having that conversation so that you're having fun. But yeah, this is, if you're new to a brewery,
this is it.
Do the flight. That's what I do when I go. It's like, I'm going to have the flight.
And for this, it really makes it so much easier to not be so intimidated by trying to turn to craft over domestic beer, because you don't have to worry so much. You kind of just get a whole sample platter.
That's right. This is not big beer. This is small beer at its finest. I mean, even this little flight holder, this is from the pallets, right? The pallets of wood that we get our grain delivered in. We make our own flight boards out of that because it's like, it'll tell a little bit more about us. And this is the old tokens we used to use at our tours. So we use a lot of our history and materials from our history in the current, right?
Yeah,
to, kind of share what we've done and where we've been.
You were telling me that just these pictures above the bar, these are some of your first kegs that you guys produced here at Petticolas,
That's right.
right?
The very first kegs I ever bought, and when it came time to think about light fixtures when we built this tap room, I'm like, let's use the very first kegs I ever bought. I mean, I packaged beer into those kegs myself by hand, and yeah, it's a reminder of, hey, this is where we were. This is what we've done. It's a part of our history.
I mean, I heard you played a mad game of ping pong.
I'm in on some ping pong. Let's play some ping pong.
I'm pretty okay.
I know. I'm in. Let's do this.
Are you ready?
I'm a little bit competitive. Let's do this. Play some ping pong. All right, Khristy, you dodging me?
Can you play with 2 beers in your hands?
Probably.
Like, did I win that one?
No, you gotta get it to my
Can you double hit?
No, you can't do that either.
Watch this. Did I win?
That a girl,
Are there like
that a
ping pong
girl.
tricks?
Oh, she was on fire.
I mean, do you have a ping pong table?
She knocked that light out. Try to get it on the table, Khristy. On the table.
This is a game of anything goes.
It is a brewery.
You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
That was a mean serve. Oh, shoot.
There it is. There it is.
This is my point.
All right.
That's not my point. Shoot.
Uh-oh. Oh, I thought you were going to have that point.
Well, I at least wanted to score 1 point.
I want you to score 1 point.
Like,
Come on.
there it is. Yeah!
There you go. There's the point.
There we go.
You did it.
Ping pong champ.
Gonna leave on a high note. That's
right.
it.
That's how you quit.
I'm retiring as champion.
Like, you stop when you're ahead. Thank you so much for having us out. Thank you for letting me beat you at ping pong. We had a really good time.
Come on.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
If this is not on your Dallas-Fort Worth things to do or your bucket list, you need to add it
Get
to
it on your list. Come pay us a visit. It's a lot of fun.
Come here. Come get a flight of beers and have a really good time and challenge somebody to a game of ping pong.
Got to.
Hey guys, we finally made it to the backyard, and I learned so much at Sammy's BBQ today. Not only did I get to talk to their cool pitmaster, he showed me what I could do with a rack of ribs right here in the backyard. Khristy had a great time at Petticolas, and she brought back some growlers of beer, and we're actually gonna pair some beer with these ribs. But I wanna talk about this baby right here. I have the Char Griller Acorn Kamado grill right here, and this is what we're gonna do the ribs on today. Okay, one of the reasons I chose Char Griller to do all of these amazing cooks on was number one, the professional grills and smokers. Okay, that's just the first thing out there. You can find them anywhere. The customer service is amazing. The price point is great. And with this Kamado grill, you can really do anything. You can bake, you can sear, you can smoke, you can grill. Anything that you want to do in your backyard can be done right here on this Char Griller Acorn Kamado grill. What I recommend you do is go find a rub at your grocery store. Experiment with it. Find a spicy rub. Find something that's got a little kick to it. Find a sweet rub. And then just experiment and have a good time with it. This is the best part. I'll try to get close as possible. You can hear that sizzle. Time and temperature when it comes to smoking meat. Every hour, what you should do is get a little spritz bottle, some apple juice, keep them nice and moist, and then plus that apple juice will really get into that meat. It tastes great. Temperature is a big key when it comes to doing any kind of grilling or smoking. You want to make sure you have your meat, your pork, and your chicken cooked to the right temperature. What I highly recommend is this ThermoWorks. It's an MK4 pin, and it's an instant read thermometer. So what I'm going to do is you just stick it in here, you get past the bone, boom, that fast. We're at 168, we're good to go. We're going to let these puppies rest for a little bit. We're going to slice them up.
What do you have there?
Oh, just a little something I was working on in the backyard, you know.
Hey, you know that brewery I was telling you about downtown?
Yep.
Petticolas Brewing Company? I brought you home 2 of their best.
So these are mine.
Well, I brought us home.
Okay.
2 of their best and my favorite classic brews that they have on tap.
Awesome.
Velvet Hammer, Golden Opportunity.
Why don't you pour us a glass real quick and I'll cut us a rib.
There's so much goodness going on at this table.
All right, so we're gonna try a rib, and this is, which one is this that you
Wait,
poured?
we're gonna try a rib? Mine's all gone.
You want another one?
I'll probably have another one. So this right here is going to be the Velvet Hammer.
Sure.
To our day.
Good
Texas
day.
Brew and Barbecue. How'd you
That's
like
a
that?
good beer.
Nice and smooth, huh?
That's a very good beer. It's a good dark beer.
Yeah, it's not too earthy. And even though it's a darker beer, it's not a really heavy, thick, dark beer.
No.
It's so light, it's so flavorful.
That's a good drinking beer right there. So what do you think of the ribs?
I like them. I didn't know if you were gonna offer me another one or if you were
Oh,
gonna
would you like
finish it
another
all yourself.
So we should have all the crew come in and eat a rib?
I think we should.
Cheers.
Bye.
Texas Brew and Barbecue.
The preceding program was a paid advertisement for Texas Brew and Barbecue.
All right, well, here's we're gonna do the ribs.
Okay.
This is my favorite thing on the menu, and I never started cooking ribs until we opened a restaurant, so I didn't even know how when we opened a restaurant. So,
Really?
Yeah, we catered for several years, but ribs were not a catering item normally, so I had to learn how to do ribs overnight. So, but we use this is my grandpa's dry rub recipe. It's a pretty simple kind of Central Texas rub. It's got paprika and smoked paprika. It's got garlic salt, pepper, and dry mustard. So my grandpa's original recipe had MSG in it, but with everybody they figured out about MSG, but man, it's so good. We don't
Gotta
put
have some MSG.
You know what? We don't do it now, but I look at everything that you buy. There's MSG in everything.
Yeah.
And so I almost put it back in there, but I didn't. So it's MSG free. So anyway, we use.
We're worried about MSGs when we're eating pork, big
Exactly,
slabs
I
of
know,
ribs
that's
and brisket. So
exactly
let's worry
what
about the
Exactly what
MSGs.
my wife's always saying. She's like, "Really, babe?" So we use a St. Louis cut rib here that we get, pretty standard. And there's a lot of rub applicators out there in the world, and I've used a lot of them. And this has been the best one I found so far. It's by a mason jar called a Recap.
Okay.
I got it off Amazon, but it's got these big holes in there
Oh,
that
wow.
are perfect for a rub, but they're not too big. And you can hold a lot. You can any size mason jar you want, you can use. So at home, you can just use a small one and not waste a bunch of stuff. But seasoning a rib is probably the most important thing outside of cooking it right. You don't want to over season, you don't want to under season.
Right.
So we use a clean rib, and then the technique is just put it on there across the rib so we get a good even coat. The shake is important. All right.
That's beautiful.
Once
and that's
you
going to
get
give it a nice color too.
It will, and you get your color obviously from the paprika. So, and then for me, I always give a tilt up and a little shimmy. That knocks the excess off, and there it is.
It's beautiful.
So you got a nice even coat on there. And
so how long do you smoke your rib?
All right, I smoke at 250. I smoke a rib for 2 hours, and then we wrap in foil, and then go for another hour and 15 to an hour and a half, depending on what the pit's doing temperature-wise.
Okay.
So if it's running consistent and it's up where we want it to be, an hour and 15 minutes. If we get some fluctuation, we'll go over it.
So that would translate in the backyard as well. So you would want
absolutely
250, 2 hours.
Yep.
Wrap it. Do you do anything when you wrap? Because I know, like with a 3-2-1, you put some butter.
Yeah,
and
no, I don't. I just wrap and I put it back on.
Let the rub do the work.
Let the rub do the work. I put it back on the pit, meat side up.
Okay.
And then when we unwrap, I'm looking for about a 1/4 inch pull off every bone. If you don't have every bone, you're gonna have variances.
It's gonna
in
be
your
pretty
ribs.
tight. Yeah.
And then what I do actually after that, when we unwrap, I actually put them back on the smoker for about 10 minutes to just firm them up and make anything. If it's wet, it'll dry it up a little bit.
Okay.
And put a little bit extra smoke on top on the backside.
Okay. Now on the backside of the rib, do you pull the membrane off? Because I see this all the time, and there's forums, and everyone's get the membrane off, leave it on, get it off, leave it on. So there's always, it's like an argument even about brisket, about trimming the fat.
Yeah, fat cap up, fat cap down. Right. It's
I think people just want to argue.
I think you're right. I do not pull the membrane off, and I think that personally, in my personal opinion, it helps the rib stay on the bone a little better.
Okay.
If you pull the membrane off and you have even a little bit of overcooked, your rib's just gonna fall off the bone. The membrane helps hold the meat on the bone.
Okay.
So a well-cooked rib bites clean off the bone but stays on.
Right.
And so the membrane kind of helps hold that meat on there. And I don't know what you gain anyway. I never could figure it out because there's not like there's a bunch of meat back there you're having access to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I leave it on, and I also leave it on just for commercial aspect when you're doing 20 or 25 racks at a time.
No one's got time to sit there and peel.
Right. It's so, and I just never noticed the difference. So I leave it on.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
I'll leave it on.
Awesome. I can't wait to try some of these ribs and coleslaw.
All right, we'll put them on the pit.
All right.
We are Ty and Khristy, two fun-loving Texans with a huge passion for good barbecue, cold beer, and lots of good times.
We're traveling the state for the best barbecue Texas has to offer.
And we are also bringing to you some of the most authentic craft beer known to Texas.
And we're going to show you top secret recipes and smoke and barbecue tips from some of the most seasoned pitmasters around.
Together, we're going to learn how to pair the right brew with the best barbecue.
We want to connect you with the smokehouses and breweries behind the Lone Star State.
We love Texas Brew and Barbecue.
Today, I'm in the Bishop Arts District in Dallas, and we're going to visit with Jill Burgess. She's one of the owners of Lockhart Smokehouse, and she's going to give us a lot of the history behind the family, the feud, and we're going to try some really great barbecue.
Jill?
Hello, you must be Ty.
Nice to meet you
nice
finally.
Nice to meet you. Well, I'm so glad you're here and I can put you to work. So that way you really can learn how everything works.
Yes, I want to go to work.
All right, I'll send you back to the kitchen with the lady who makes all the magic happen here at Lockhart Smokehouse and makes all the meats so mouth-wateringly succulent, Carolina Maldonado. So listen, if you follow, there's a sign. It says meat orders down the hall right there.
Follow the sign.
You just follow the sign and she's gonna put you to work.
Perfect.
All right, go
Let's go cook some meat. Jill told me to come around here We are going to be prepping this big bad boy here.
Yes, sir.
But first, tell me your story on how you became the pitmaster here.
Well, I started off here as a prep cook. I was in the kitchen doing all the sides and everything. And I started seeing the meat, and I thought it was very interesting how it was black, like burnt, but it wasn't actually burnt. And I had never even seen or even eaten barbecue before, so I didn't know.
You've never eaten barbecue when you
No.
came here? Really? Oh, that's crazy.
Because I was like the most people who think it was burnt. I was like, I don't want that. So then I started seeing how it was cooked and how it was actually very yummy.
So how many briskets do you go through a day here?
We do 30 to 35 briskets.
30 to 35 briskets a day?
On an average day.
Oh my gosh.
Busy day, up to 50.
Good grief. Tell me about the rub. Tell me how I can make a rub like this at home.
So this is like, it's like mostly salt and black pepper and a little bit of white sugar. And, but it's 80% salt and pepper.
80% salt and pepper?
Yeah, all the rest is just small things, small amounts.
That's good to know.
We get our briskets just like we get them. We don't trim any of the fat.
You don't trim the fat. Tell me
No.
why.
Because that's like that's the best part.
And how long do you smoke it?
These we smoke from 14 to 16 hours
14, 16 hours.
at 250 degrees.
250?
Yes, sir.
Nice. So that fat just gets in there and just renders down.
Oh,
and-
yes.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's put her on.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good, good, awesome.
I'm Khristy.
I'm Ruben.
It looks like you're Ruben.
I'm Brandon.
You're Brandon.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Well,
too.
we're so excited to be here.
Well, good.
Thanks
Welcome
for
to
having
Hemisphere.
us. Hemisphere's Brewing Company, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk history first, because if you guys want to know one thing about me, it's the fact that I really love homegrown places. I love breweries that come from their own concrete, their own foundation, and how they bring themselves up just from themselves. Now, really interesting, you two didn't always start in the brewing world. I hear that you are musicians.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a drummer. Ruden's a bass player, guitar player. We played in a band together years ago, and that's pretty much how this whole thing started. We're both musicians. We like to be creative.
Yeah.
And this is a creative outlet for us, so that's how we started brewing.
So did you start brewing while you were in music, or did you guys just kind of become friends and then decided one day you were just going to hit the town with brewing?
It's kind of both. We were doing the band thing, but as bands kind of go away sometimes, you still want to have that creative outlet. So we did the band thing, and then we just started brewing after that, and it just became a passion for us.
Okay, well tell me, what is this baby?
That's our straight dope.
Straight dope.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I the only one having straight dope right now?
No.
All right, so we're drinking beer number 2. What is this?
Beer number 2 is Shiver. It's
Shiver.
That's the blueberry American.
Blueberry American wheat.
Okay, I like blueberries, and I
Mhm.
like weed, and
That's
I
a
like
craft
America,
beer.
right?
And you like America.
America.
So yeah.
gosh,
So it should be real.
This is really good. This sounds like something you would have with waffles for breakfast. Has anybody ever asked if they could have some with waffles?
No, but we're willing to try
Okay.
to serve them some.
You know what? So one Saturday morning, you should have a brunch truck come out here. I'm full of ideas if you guys ever want them. And you should have a waffle truck.
We had actually thought about doing that.
I really like that you guys have a food truck out
You're
there
hired.
right now. Listen, here I am. I'll just sit here and
Are you
drink
gonna
the
be
beer
pouring
and
the
name
waffles
them.
or the beer?
The beer.
All right. I'll
then
do the waffles.
eating the waffles. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, this is the coffee porter, and this is what we drink before we mow the lawn.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what you do before.
Okay,
Not after, before.
and it doesn't matter what time.
No.
Coffee porter.
There's no perfect time to do it. You just do it.
That is so good. Now, I hear you guys have a brand new beer that's actually launching today.
So we have a Gosa, and it's a Mexican-inspired Gosa.
Okay.
So it's a Gosa made with pink Himalayan sea salt and lime zest, and it's called No Way Gose.
No way, go say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that cool?
Yes. I definitely taste the salt. I definitely taste like I should be sitting on a beach right now with a sombrero.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like it.
It's nice, crisp, it's tart, it's a little salty, it's that lime zest, really refreshing.
It's really different. I want to drink all of these beers, but before we keep drinking, I kind of want to go back and take a peek at all the equipment and everything else that goes behind making these drinks.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Sure.
Well, let's do it.
What is this called?
This is called our blue cheese slaw.
Blue cheese slaw.
Yes.
I've never made coleslaw ever.
Not your typical coleslaw. It has a little twist to it.
What's the twist?
We add blue cheese crumble
Okay.
and some jalapenos since we like a little heat.
How much cabbage is this?
This is like 5 pounds of finely chopped cabbage.
Wow. So how many people do you think this would feed?
This would feed maybe 10 to 15. No.
Wow. 10 to 15?
Maybe 20.
Maybe 20. There's a lot here.
Yes.
All right. So show me how we do this.
Okay, well, we start off, of course, with the cabbage.
Okay.
We also have some red cabbage here and some carrots, so we just mix these in just for color.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And then we add our blue cheese. This is like maybe 16 ounces.
Okay.
We just add that all in there. And we have like maybe 1 cup of jalapeno. You could do less, you could do more. It depends on how you like.
I like the heat.
This is like maybe 3 ounces of sugar.
Cut the heat down a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. We don't want to cut it down that much. Some salt, of course, flavor.
So this is a recipe that pretty much anybody could do at home.
Oh yes, yes, very easy to make. And we have some apple cider vinegar. We put in the whole amount. And this is just regular mayonnaise. I like to mix in like half of it. We don't want to overpower all the other yummy ingredients.
So I get to take all of this home today, right?
Oh yes, you're good for a week.
A good week. Hey guys, go to our Instagram page at Texas Brew and Barbecue and get the recipe for the blue cheese coleslaw that is made famous by Lockhart Smokehouse. And when we come back, we are going to be with Jill Burgess, and she's going to tell us her story on how she became the owner of one of the hottest barbecue joints right here in Dallas-Fort Worth. We'll be right back.
Well, so this is where all the goodness happens,
This
right?
is where the magic happens.
And this is inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where we started with.
Our job is to pull as much sugar as we can from the grains, depending on what we're making or which beer it is, what the ABV we're shooting for. We put grains in the mash tun, so you see a bigger brewing system. It's basically the same exact process. It's 3 vessels. The middle one is a mash tun.
Okay.
The right side is called a hot liquor tank.
Hot liquor tank.
And then this side is the boil kettle.
And this is the
So
boil
what we're
kettle.
doing depends on which beer we're going for, what the alcohol content is that we're shooting for, the body, the flavor, everything else dictates what mash temperature that we do it at.
You talked about how you came out here, you were mowing your own lawns,
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
were doing your own work. Like, I want to know how all of this got started. Like day one,
Well-
you guys finished the band and said, hey, we need to make beer and drink beer because we love beer.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, basically, we met up at Craft and Growler one day, and we talked about doing it for a long time. We was like, you know what? We're drinking some beers. Like, this is good. We can do this. Let's do it.
Okay.
So
That's
we
how it all
started.
started, yeah.
We started looking for properties, and we went for a lot of different cities. It took us about a year to find a good property, and we found this place. Contacted the landlord, and he let us come see it, and then we're like, great, this is it.
So,
But it was in really bad shape. So it took us 4 years, 3.5, 4 years.
3.5.
Just to get this place open like this.
well, it looks fantastic.
We got into this because we're passionate about beer. Bottom line, that's it. I mean, you come in here, it's not a huge, elaborate brewery. It's chill, it's relaxed, it's comfortable, and we want people to come in and just hang out with their friends and have some beer and just have a good time.
Yeah, just be yourself and enjoy what we try to do for you.
I mean, I feel like you should tell them that here at Hemisphere, come in and just be yourself,
Exactly.
right?
Be yourself. That's all we ask. And enjoy what we do every day.
So Jill, you come from barbecue royalty. Tell me your story.
I do actually. That's how we get the Lockhart Smokehouse name, because my grandfather ran Kreitz Market for many, many years. Papa Schmidt bought it from the Kreitz family in the 40s. I want to say 48, but then I'll mess that up. So yeah, somewhere in the 40s. Bought it from the Kreitz family, and you know, the history of Texas barbecue is you use what you have. So it was really a market, and the meat they had that wasn't selling right off, you'd smoke and sell that to the customers, and they could take it home for dinner or whatever. And you used cattle a lot because that's what Texas has. But my grandfather shut down the market side of it, and it became a barbecue.
Wow.
And so, over, 115 years going down in Lockhart, Texas. And Dallas didn't have anything like what I had grown up on, so the recession hit.
Mm-hmm.
I was not always in the barbecue industry. I actually started out in television.
I heard about that.
Yeah. No, I started out answering the phones for the Sally Jesse Raphael show.
Really?
Really. Oh, yeah.
You didn't tell me that. That's cool.
So you learn a lot about human nature from talk shows.
Right.
Yeah, not always what you want to know. Anyway, and from there I ended up at CNN in New York. But my husband and I are both from Texas, and we really missed, home. And
Right.
New York City is not Texas. Although
No.
you never become more Texan than when you're somewhere else.
Right. And this is your first location,
This
right
is our
here.
first location,
Why did
yes.
you choose Bishop Arts?
Bishop Arts it was just a really cool neighborhood. We were
Right.
lucky enough to get in before it really blew up. Like this before was an auto shop, somebody told us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then, it went through several, the whole of Bishop Arts went through several iterations, and it's one of the most historical little nooks that nobody knows about in Dallas, or at least they didn't. They all know about it now.
Everyone knows about Bishop Arts
We're
now.
lucky now.
Thank you for taking the time and telling me your story.
Oh, sure.
And I mean,
Well, now, you can't leave yet.
I can't leave.
No, your baby's in the smoker.
That's right.
So we need to feed you a little bit so you can taste the fruits of your labor.
We have to.
Right, yeah, it's mandatory.
It's
Sorry,
mandatory.
you can't come to, no, I'm gonna let you leave. You come to a barbecue restaurant, we're not gonna feed you.
All right.
All right.
Can't wait.
I'll go do that. So here's the best part. It's like a meaty Christmas present. You get to unwrap it.
I get to unwrap this?
You do. And here, look. Through the magic of television, we have a couple other goodies.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Blue cheese coleslaw made by your very hands. This is one of my favorites. Brisket deviled eggs.
Oh, my gosh.
That's dessert. Bread pudding. And, all the fixins you might need here. Got some pickles, some onions, some jalapenos, because I heard you were a spicy guy.
Oh, yeah. Love the spice.
And then, if you need it, we have sauce. We didn't when we first opened, but we did get
I'm a no sauce guy.
You are? You're a purist?
I'm a purist.
That's really smart. No, when we first opened, we did not have sauce. True to the Lockhart tradition, we did not have sauce or forks because sauce is for, I can't repeat that, and forks you have at the end of your hands.
Oh, man. Well, I can't wait to unwrap this.
And this goes back to the market tradition, the butcher paper, because
Right.
it was a grocery store meat market. It is served on butcher paper, and our counter order style also harkens back to the Lockhart Kreitz market, where you walk up and you say, "I want a pound of that. I want a little less of that." It's
Wrap it up in paper and hand it
wrap it
over.
up in paper and let's go.
Look at that. That's some of the best brisket I've ever eaten.
You're not saying that just because you rubbed some of them.
No.
And here we go. Here is the original Kreitz Market sausage, over 115-year-old family recipe.
Okay, so I know that there's a lot of history behind the barbecue, and I know there's a feud.
Oh, well, yes. Families sometimes can argue occasionally. There's a lot of history. So, it's a 115-ish-year-old family business.
Right.
And when my grandfather died, his sons had bought the business out. But he left the building to his daughter, hoping that, everybody would be happy and get along.
Continue, right.
Right. Sadly, the daughter raised the rent. So they moved down the street and they built a beautiful new facility. And it was lovely. They actually did a nice ceremonial walk of the coals down the street to the new Kreitz location. And then my aunt opened up a place in honor of my grandfather called Smitty's, which is the original Kreitz Market building, which is just amazing.
So they were like right down the street from each other.
Pretty much. I mean, it's Lockhart, so
Right.
you've got a little bit more room, but in essence, yes. But the Kreitz Market, Smitty's now, has this beautiful fire pit that you walk in and you just feel the heat coming off, because You know, you were talking earlier, I heard you with Carolina about trimming the fat cap. You know, each barbecue restaurant has something different. In Lockhart, they actually go a lot hotter and faster than we do because they have brick pits that are built in.
Okay.
So yeah, here we have to use something that's a little bit more enclosed, so we go lower and slower.
Right.
But when you walk into that original Kreitz building, that fire is what's feeding the pit. And I used to threaten to throw my sister in there when we were little. And the other great thing they had what it was a market at first.
Right.
So you didn't have any utensils. So they had steak knives chained to the tables. This long wooden smoky hallway where you could sit and eat and no air conditioning. And yeah, you'd have steak knives chained to the table. I believe the Board of Health made them take them out in the 90s.
Wow.
Oh yeah, the history seeps in. So now I'm related to literally all the great barbecue places in Lockhart because I've got my cousin running Kreitz, my Aunt Nina runs Smitty's.
It's that royal barbecue royalty.
Well, and then I'm related through my grandmother to Blacks, which I didn't know until we started doing events and talking to fourth generation Barrett Black that's now doing it. I'm like, hey, we're like cousins somehow way back. So anyway, it's really neat.
Barbecue's in the blood.
The barbecue world is such a cool, wonderful place of camaraderie.
Yeah, I love the barbecue world. I love meeting all the new people that are associated with barbecue. It's like a family.
Well, and barbecue, the history of barbecue's changed so much. I mean, just since we've come on in the last 8 years, there's been a complete renaissance of Texas barbecue. Since Aaron Franklin, it kind of became a much more citified almost craft form. But the nice thing is, by that, it's also brought a lot of attention back to the good old places.
Exactly.
Luling City Market, Lockhart, Kreitz, all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So
now, what are some tips that you would give a backyard barbecue person like myself? What do they need to know about?
Well, the one thing I do know is before you start smoking, you always want to bring your meat to room temp, even though that kind of freaks us out as germaphobes in general, and I struggle with that. But bringing it to room temp lets the smoke really permeate and the salt, because you're going to put your rub on it and let it rest a little bit and bring that to room temp. And that really helps get you a better finished product.
Now, when you say room temp, if the room temp is 72 degrees, are you going to leave it out till the meat's 72 degrees?
Well, just feel like it's not like fresh out of the refrigerator.
Right.
Gauge it where you feel
Some people have taken that, and I was at a class with a mutual friend of ours.
Okay.
And they asked him, room temp is like 72 degrees. He's like, just take it out and let it sit for a minute.
Right, exactly. Just kind of get it there where you feel like you need to. That, and I know when you're done, you got to look for the jiggle.
Yeah.
Like you kind of slap it around and
the brisket jiggle.
The brisket jiggle. That's when you know it's done.
Thank you, Jill, for having us here.
My pleasure.
And thanks for letting me put me to work.
Yes.
Making some coleslaw. And guys, if anybody is in Bishop Arts, even if you're close, you have to come to Lockhart. This is so good. Come check it out. I think I have meat in my teeth. I think I got it. Come check out Lockhart Smokehouse. It is amazing.
So I just found out you guys actually have a secret menu. And on that secret menu is this Golden Gem. And this is the Beerita. Made solely with which beer?
We use our Pilsner. We use our No Way Gose. We use our Cerveza.
It's like they were made for each other.
It works really, really well. And on a hot day, again, like today, or when you're mowing your yard, like at 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock, if you're not going to drink a Super Fleek, that is an amazing thing to drink.
So since this is on the secret menu, do you just have to be a constant comer of Hemisphere to really know that this is there? Or do you just see someone walk in and be like, they really could use this Beerita?
I mean, that's just one way to put it, I guess, yeah. Because, I mean, unless you come here, you don't know we have it.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I love to see the expression on people's faces when they try our beers. Because there's a lot of hard work that goes into every pour that we do. And it shows when you constantly have those, customers that are, first impression is everything.
You're right.
Because we've heard and we've had customers come to us where we went to so-and-so brewery and they said, oh no, it's supposed to taste different every time. That's what craft beer is all about. No.
Yeah.
Craft beer is, to us, it's about consistency. We pride ourselves in consistency. We will not pour you anything less than how it tasted the first time we made it. When we said, you know what, this beer, this is it. This is it. Sometimes, even to make a recipe like that shiver, it took us 152 times to finally get it right.
Oh my gosh, 152 times.
Yeah, the IPA was about just as much. It's a lot of time and effort and creativity. We're not afraid to dump a batch of beer if it's bad. We won't do it. We're not afraid to. But
and that's a true craft master. I feel like to hear you guys say that is, you're right. You don't want to come in. You don't just want to serve whatever batch you made, because if it's awful, it's awful. But when you hold yourself to a really high level and a really high standard of working, and you really appreciate your customers and they want to consistently and constantly have that same feel, I think that's when you get so many people willing to come in, and you're returning customers, and you just create the entire atmosphere that's just wonderful all the way around. So when you find a brewery that obviously is family friendly, I mean, there's so many people here tonight, and so many people have kids, they have young kids, they have a little bit older kids, and they can just come hang out. You guys have food trucks that come outside occasionally, and you can just come and just be. You don't have to worry about it just being an adult place. You can just come out and have fun at certain times. I feel like you can bring your family and have dinner. You can play games. I also feel like outside there's a lot of cool stuff happening for us to do outside too.
You like Frisbee golf?
I love Frisbee golf. I'm not any good at Frisbee golf, but I absolutely love Frisbee golf. So I feel like we should go outside and see what you have outside for activities too.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Let's do it.
You want to come outside?
Yeah, let's go. So not only do we have all this cool stuff going on indoors.
So we have this area that you can play games and stuff in too, and then they have that whole lot next to us as well that we can utilize for events as well. Yeah,
That's awesome. I feel like we should have potato sack races. You have the yard for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about adult slip and slide? That's what it's adult.
What is adult slip and slide?
I don't even know. Let's not even. Let's act like we didn't even say that.
All right. Well, let's think about adult slip and slide.
Thinking outside the box. All right.
But let's see who the real champion of Frisbee golf is.
How many did you get? You have 3 of them?
I have 3.
See what you got. You go first. We'll go.
No, I go last.
You go last?
Yeah, I have to see what my
go?
competition
All right.
is.
I feel like I'm gonna hit him.
That's okay. Oh, look.
That sucks.
Ruben? Oh, do we shoot all 3 at the same time? No, let's
not.
1 and 1. Let's give us chances. Oh,
Whatever.
Bam!
God, man, I didn't even touch it.
All right, so
Oh, that's twice.
here at Hemisphere, you can come and have fun. You can drink all the good beer.
Why did you skip me?
Oh, that one didn't count. And you can play Frisbee golf.
You didn't even touch it. All right. Every time I went over.
And always ask to play with Brandon because he's not very good.
I'm horrible at this. I'm horrible at this.
All right, Ruben, together.
Stroke.
1, 2, 3. Oh,
Hey, we
Oh,
crossed paths.
Thank you guys for having us.
Just almost missed.
Thank you guys for having us.
Hey.
Texas Brew and Barbecue is ending today at Hemisphere Brewing Company in Rockwall, Texas. We had a really good time, and you guys should definitely add this to your bucket list, to your places to travel to, or your places to just come hang out. Hemisphere Brewing Company, Rockwall, Texas. Come party with Ruben and Brandon and have a really good time.
We had such a great time today on Texas Brew and Barbecue. I know Khristy had a blast at Hemisphere Brewing Company out in Rockwall. Be sure to go check those guys out. I learned a lot today about the family and how to cook a really mean Texas brisket at Lockhart Smokehouse. Go check out one of their locations as well. So right now, I'm going to get the Char Griller Acorn Kamado style grill fired up, and I'm going to apply a lot of the tips and tricks that I learned today at Lockhart to this brisket.
All right, now that you know what we're going to cook this on, let me show you what we're going to cook. We have a 15-pound brisket right here. Now this is a brisket that you can get at your local grocery store, full brisket, untrimmed. And what we're going to do today is we're going to trim it up a little bit. We're going to throw some rub on it, and then we're going to get it in the smoker, and we're going to let it go for 12 to 13 hours.
One thing that I love about the Char Griller Acorn is the versatility. With the Smoke and Stone, you turn this grill into an indirect smoker. The steel design makes it very fuel efficient, and we all know for a long brisket cook, slow and steady is the way to go. And you don't want to babysit this thing for a full 13 hours. All right, once you get everything trimmed up the way you want it, it's to your liking. I know there's a lot of different ways to do it, and like I said, I am a backyard guy. I am not a pit master at all. This is the way I was taught, and this is kind of the way that I like to do it. So you can leave it on, you can take it off, totally up to you. I prefer taking a lot of the fat off, especially that big hard chunk. Now, if you look right here, you're supposed to cut a brisket. What I was told, you're supposed to cut a brisket against the grain. As you can see, the grain's going this way. Once you get rub and everything on this brisket, you're not going to be able to see the grain. So how do you know which way to cut it? Or are you going to remember the way the grain's going? Probably not, 13 hours later. So usually I come to the tip right here, and I know my grain's going this way, so I'm going to slice against it, right? I'm not going to slice with it, I'm going to slice against it. So I'm going to cut a little piece off here, and this is going to tell me this is the way I need to slice after everything's nice and cooked, because it's going to be black. The reason I wrap this thing in foil is usually with a brisket, you will hit a plateau, usually around 160. So the foil, when you put the foil on it, the foil actually helps it cook and get you over that hump to get you to the 205 mark. Plus it gathers some juices in here, as you can see, and keeps the moisture kind of built into this brisket. Now that we're done here, I'm gonna wrap it back up and I'm gonna stick it in a cooler and let it rest for about an hour. Then we're gonna slice it up.
Cheers, you guys, to another day with Texas Brew and Barbecue.
Cheers. Cheers.
Best team ever.
Thanks guys for tuning in. Texas Brew and Barbecue. If you want any of these recipes that you've seen on the show, go follow us on Instagram at TX Brew and Barbecue. And what
Also
else?
on Facebook.
Oh, Facebook too.
TX Brew and Barbecue. We actually like to post a lot of recipes and behind the scene footage on our Facebook page and Instagram page.
Look at this brisket, just falls apart.
You can probably see a closer video of Ty's brisket falling apart if you go watch.
Maybe. If I don't eat it all first. We got about 10 pounds left.
I think that's a wrap.
Let's wrap, guys.